Hello and welcome to Faith at Home Going Deeper, episode 6. This week's theme is resilience. Now, earlier in the week, Nikki looked at the story of Paul, and if you want to know a bit more about Paul, actually looking at what Nikki said is worth doing. But rather than jump straight into the story of what Nikki looked at, I thought it was worth actually looking a little bit at what resilience is, and perhaps what we mean when we say resilience in a spiritual content. So to actually start with that, I thought I'd look up what resilience actually was, and I actually saved it on my phone. So according to the Oxford English Dictionary, resilience is the ability of people or things to recover quickly after something unpleasant, such as shock, injury, etc. Or the ability of a substance to return to its original shape after it has been bent, stretched, or pressed. And from that I started thinking, well, actually, what does that mean for us in terms of our walk with God, in terms of Christians? What do we mean by resilience? And I actually think it means this, the ability to continue worshipping God and glorifying His holy name regardless of the circumstances we find ourselves in. So no matter how stretched, bent, shocked, injured, our ability to recover and continue worshipping God and glorifying His name. That's what I think resilience means in this context. And I think that's the reason Nikki chose Paul to look at this week, because Paul has bags of resilience, and it wasn't always plain sailing for him. Lots of things happen to him. What he does is in Acts, which is just after the Gospels, in sort of this end bit of the Bible. And not all of Acts is about Paul, but there's a lot of stuff in it that is about him. It's the really first bit of Paul's the road to Damascus, when he starts his journey by persecuting and killing Christians, and has this sort of shining light moment where he's converted and becomes a Christian, starts telling people about God, and actually there's just two bits of Paul's story I want to pick up on that I think show his resilience. But actually, more importantly, I think it shows why he has resilience and the lessons we can learn from that. So the first sort of story is in Acts chapter 16, and Paul is telling people about God because that's what Paul seems to do most of the way through Acts. And he finds himself getting beaten up and put in prison. This is his sort of response to it. And this is from Acts 16, verse 25. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening to them. And actually I just think that's remarkable, that they're in prison, they've been beaten, and they're just praying and singing to God. I think what's great about this as well is actually I don't think that their prayer and singing to God is a response to the fact that they find themselves in prison, that they find themselves in hard circumstances. I just think that's how Paul led his life. Paul's relationship with God is such that wherever he is, whatever he's doing, he wants to be praying to God and he wants to be singing God's praises, because that's where God is in his life. And in this particular circumstance, well, actually it's irrelevant. He still wants to get up, he still wants to pray, and he still wants to worship God, because that's who God is to him. That's where God is in his life. And I think the next story is from towards the end of Acts 27. At this time, Paul's on a boat. He's sailing to Rome, And there's an actual storm in this case. The boat comes into a lot of difficulty, and in the end he is shipwrecked. But in the sort of middle of all this, Paul stands up and Paul says this, and this is from Acts 27, verse 23. "Last night an angel of God stood before me and said, 'Do not be afraid, Paul. You must go and stand trial before Caesar, and God has graciously given you the lives for all who sail with you. So keep up your courage, men, and have faith in God that it will happen just as he has told me.'" And it's just such a casual way to start a sentence, isn't it? Don't worry, an angel came to visit me last night. But I think again it sums up how Paul lives his life. That his relationship with God. He has this courage and he has this strength in his faith. But it's not by accident. It's by his intimate knowledge of who God is and where God is in his life. See, on Monday in Nikki's, she shared that actually God promises to be with us in the Bible 365 times, which is one for every day of the year, even in a leap year, which I just think is amazing. But what I find amazing about Paul is that actually that's a reality to him, because he's probably praying every day. He knows God is with him every day because he's communicating with God every day. He's worshipping him every single day. And I think that's how Paul gets his resilience. Even through all these hardships and times through an actual storm, Paul's faith in God is not wavered, because Paul knows who God is and knows where God is in his life and knows that God is with him in those hard circumstances. And actually, over the last few months, I think it's been a bit of a storm. I think it's been really tough. I think it's been hard, that actually the place we go and worship God has been shut. The way we relate to God as a group of people has been closed down. It's been rocked. And I think that can be quite hard. But actually, if there's one thing we can learn from Paul is, even in those hard circumstances, let's keep worshipping God. Maybe our houses have felt a bit like a prison cell, but actually in those, let's sing hymns to the Lord, let's pray and let's worship him, and let's keep him at the centre of what we're doing. And that's where Paul got his resilience from, and I think that's where we can get ours from as well. I'm going to leave you with a song called Never Let Go. And actually, as it plays, I just want you to take the opportunity to just really, lift your voice to God. Just worship him and prayerfully put him at the centre of your life. And I think that's, again, just how we can just keep running the race and keep going with God even through the storms. Amen.
Casting out fear, and even when I'm caught in the middle coming, full of heart that holds on. A glorious light beyond all compare. And there will be an end to these troubles, but until that day comes, we'll live to know you here on the earth. I will fear no evil, for my God is with me. If my God